Welcome to the season finale of Ship-Faced for Lusitania. When World War I broke out, passengers boarding Lusitania were greeted by much more than bellboys. Posted to every ticket was a notice from the German Imperial Navy, warning all passengers that a state of war exists and that traveling over the Atlantic is done so at their own risk. Having completed over 200 crossings of the North Atlantic, Voyage 201 was intended to be no different than any other that she had done. However, the presence of World War I and a flotilla of U-boats made things a little bit different. U-20 had successfully, unfortunately, sank over 130 British merchant vessels by the time it had crossed paths with Lusitania. A few days into her voyage, with only one day left, Lusitania reached the coastline of Old Head Kinsale, Ireland. Captain Walter Schwieger was in command of U-20. Hungry for even more glory, Captain Schwieger tracked the position of a four-funneled liner, gambling it was Lusitania and hoping it was so, because he was aware that Lusitania was intended to be a troop ship for the war effort in the future. So if he could sink it, that would be a tremendous victory for Germany. But he also only had a single torpedo left, so if he was going to make this attack, he had better aim correctly. Lusitania had been ordered by the War Office in London to maintain a zigzag course to avoid any coming U-boats if there were any, and sure enough, Captain William Turner spotted a periscope on Lusitania's starboard bow. Upon seeing this, he immediately ordered hard a starboard and pulled the engines full ahead. This was a true battle of skill between these two captains, and unfortunately, Captain Schwieger decided he couldn't pass up the coming opportunity and fired his last torpedo. And at precisely 2:12 in the afternoon, May 7th, the torpedo struck her cargo magazine and exploded, causing a huge plume of debris and destroyed lifeboat number 6. Moments later, a second explosion rocked the ship. It's unclear to this day whether this was the engines, the empty coal bunkers, or the shrapnel shell and other war munitions the ship was transporting that caused this second explosion, but regardless, there was a second one, and immediately after, Lusitania took on a 15-degree list to her starboard side, the side of her that was struck by the torpedo. As you can see, Lusitania went down violently. Fire and explosions came from the boiler rooms up the smokestacks, burning and exploding. Lifeboats were in complete chaos, plunging down the sloping decks of the ship, pinning people to the bridge wings, or falling completely off the ship. Minutes after the torpedo strike, Lusitania lost all power. People were also trapped in between decks in her lifts, the elevators. Lusitania continued listing to her starboard side and going down by the head, until finally she reached a 25-degree angle with the entire stern in the air, propellers clearing the water. Like giant dominoes, one by one, each of Lusitania's funnels collapsed on themselves. And by 2:30 in the afternoon, just 18 minutes after the torpedo strike, she was gone. Of the 1,959 passengers, 1,198 of them had drowned. 128 of those were Americans. There was no one single rescue ship to come and help the survivors of Lusitania. Instead, a flotilla of lifeboats from a nearby lifeboat station in Ireland came to her aid. A week later, in memoriam of the unidentified bodies from Lusitania's disaster, a parade took place. And not long after that, President Woodrow Wilson of the United States declared war on Kaiser Wilhelm and Germany. The loss of Americans on Lusitania was one of 3 reasons for why the United States entered World War I. I hope you enjoyed this season on Lusitania, and I hope you all look forward to next season, which will feature some haunted and ghoulish sea stories for Halloween. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon.